Welcome to the Grant Writing Simplified podcast. This is the place to learn how to make a big impact in your community through grant writing and nonprofit consulting. The world needs you to step forward as a grant writer and use your skills to lead with confidence. I'm Teresa Huff, former special ed teacher turned grant writer and nonprofit strategist. In my 20 years of freelancing, I've helped nonprofits triple their funding and exponentially increase their reach. Now I'm stepping up to mentor freelancers and nonprofit leaders like you who are ready to take your skills to the next level. It's time to get intentional about your vision so you can create lasting change in your community. Learn the skills and strategies you need to become the grant writer the world needs. Let's do this. Okay, friends, here we are. It's part 4 of our Grant Writer Fast Focus Power series. This week, for the last 4 episodes, I've been helping you develop the confidence and clarity to start your grant writing career the way you want it to look. Remember, you can download the workbook at teresahuff.com/fastfocus. So make sure you grab that to where you can go along as you listen to each of the episodes. If you haven't gone back and heard the others yet, make sure you do that. In part 1, we talked about moving away from the question of, do I have what it takes? And instead ask yourself, how can I get there? Then in part 2, we took inventory of your skills and the things that you already have to work with. Part 3, we learned about the fast steps. Focus on your goals, aspire to learn, shape your online presence, and track your progress. We've gone through all those steps, so today we're going to pull together all the loose threads and we're going to talk about the number one question I hear from grant writers, and that is, where do I start? And that's a great question, and it's one that we all wrestle with. When I first started, I thought I had to take on any client that came along who said they needed help with grant writing. I was happy to have a live body willing to work with me. So I took on some projects that I probably shouldn't have, looking back. If I had known what I know now, I totally could have helped those nonprofits, but not necessarily with grant writing at the time. It wasn't what they needed yet, but I didn't understand that. I could have still offered them other services that they did need at that point in their growth, instead of just blindly jumping into writing a grant for them, since that's what they said they needed. So suffice it to say, there were a few crash and burns along the way. And that's okay. I learned some lessons the hard way, but I lived to tell about it, so it wasn't the end of the world. None of it was wasted. But that's not how it should work, and that's not how I want it to work for you. It's so hard wondering, where do I start? Should I get a degree? Should I work for free? How do I tell people what I do when I'd rather be invisible and just do the work? It's also hard when you do land a prospect, and then you think, great, now what? Where do I start? How much should I charge? What if I don't know what I'm doing after I get into this? I eventually figured it out after a lot of trial and error. I could have done it a whole lot faster, though, if I'd had some guidance or someone to ask when setting up my independent grant writing business. I started out with a mentor when I learned the actual grant writing, but then when I moved away, I was kind of on my own to figure out all these moving parts. Now that I've done it for nearly 2 decades, though, gosh, that sounds weird to say out loud, I've started seeing other new grant writers with the same kinds of questions and needing the same kind of support. That's when I took a good hard look at my business and how I got here. And here's what I found. First, I got really clear on what worked for me over the years and also what didn't work. I organized all my notes and my workflows into templates that I can use over and over to make my business run more efficiently. That way I'm not reinventing the wheel every single time. Then I got super clear on what types of projects helped me build my business and which ones didn't. I also got clear on what types of clients I want to work with and which ones I don't. I built a really solid referral network of some amazing complementary providers in the nonprofit industry so that I feel good about saying no to some types of work, and I can help others build their businesses at the same time. And it gives a good referral to the nonprofit that I feel good about handing them off to do that type of work. Getting to that point included a lot of hard decisions. a lot of hard no's, and a lot of difficult yeses. I wrestled with a lot of those things over the years. It was worth it because ever since I figured that out, I've been able to communicate my services and my pricing with clarity and confidence. I've designed a marketing plan that suits my personality, not some framework that somebody else says I have to do. And I've worked with some 100% absolute ideal clients. I am so blessed because over the last few years, I can honestly say to every single one of my clients, you're my favorite client. And I'm not being wishy-washy. They truly are. I love the people I work with. I'm telling you this to help you see what's possible when you get super clear on what you have to offer, what you still need to learn, and then build a rock-solid plan to get there. This has been game-changing for me and for my Fast Track to Grant Writer students. Some people say, but I don't want to fill in the blank. I don't want to run ads. I don't want to go to networking events. I don't want to make sales calls or whatever it is that feels icky to you. Fine. Don't. Please don't. Figure out what works best for you based on your network, your experiences, your connections, and especially your personality. If you're like me, you may be an introvert and some of these things just don't feel good to you, but let's find the ones that do. This goes back to part 2 when I asked you to take inventory of yourself. If you want to walk through this together in the Fast Track, I give you a lot more resources to dig deep into this and help you connect the dots to see what options you have right in front of you that you can feel really good about. When you feel good about it, then you'll want to do it. You won't put off those calls. You won't put off approaching someone because you'll feel confident and it's in a way that feels natural to how you are wired. You don't need to be nervous or struggling or not sure where to start with all this. You most likely have a lot more skills than you realize already. Take that inventory and then figure out the shortest distance from point A to point B to become a grant writer. Make sure you've listened to all the episodes in this Fast Focus series and do the homework. Actually go through the steps and take the time to go deep. Then if you still need help, get on the Fast Track so I can help you dig deep and we'll get really clear on this. We look through your experiences, your education, your background, and a lot of people are usually really surprised that what's right in front of them, they had no idea that that's really applicable to grant writing. We go through a lot of the actual grant writing skills and advanced pro tips, but we also look at your online presence, your skill set, and what kind of career you want to have. And then we craft that so that you have a good plan to help get you there. In the Fast Track program, you get my templates, the systems I use, customized answers to your questions and your situation. You can launch your grant writing career or expand your career if you already are a grant writer, and you can feel confident and know that you look and sound like a professional. It's everything I wish I'd had as a new grant writer. One of my students, John, said the program really helped him articulate himself and what he does in a clearly actionable way. And it also helped build his confidence in putting himself out there more boldly. He said, "Your program is addressing both for me, which is massively impactful. Also, the reflections don't just get confined to the homework and are genuinely permeating my professional and strategic development. So thank you for this." That's why I'm so crazy excited to announce that the Fast Track is open. You'll get 90 days of community and support to sort out your goals, plus go through all the modules and learn the pro grant writing tips and map out a clear plan for your future. So how do you know if the Fast Track is for you? This is important because I want you to make sure you can resonate with each of these. Number 1, you have a heart to serve. You need to be passionate about helping nonprofits because that's what this is about, right? It's not about us. It's about making the world a better place. Number 2, you love to learn. You need to be willing to put in the time to learn in the program, show up for the group calls, and watch the videos. Everything will be recorded, so if you can't come to the live calls, you can still go back and watch them, and there's always so much good stuff in those, so you really need to commit to the learning. Number 3, you're ready to implement. You need to be committed to doing the work in the program. This isn't for people who just want to consume more content and then send it off to the digital graveyard. It's for go-getters who are ready to take serious action. And number 4, you are all in. You're ready to take the next steps in your career. You're not going to hide behind the fear or the what-ifs anymore. You're ready to go all in and have support as you start this new adventure. This is the most cost-effective way to work with me because you're getting high-level, intensive advice that is customized to your situation. It's everything I've learned over the last 20 years, all bundled up into a nice program just for you. We work on both the technical grant writing skills and the business and career building. It's really a good mix, about half and half. A lot of programs out there teach you just the grant writing. So yeah, you could go read the books and take the courses, but then when you're done, you're still going to be like, okay, now what? How do I use this? So that's why we really incorporate a lot of both to connect the dots. Now let me be clear about something. This is not about making clones of myself. Not at all. We don't want that. The world doesn't need that. This is about helping you grow into the best version of yourself. Students who have gone through the program are really surprised at the transformation of what they've learned about themselves and what they can do with their career. And they're really amazed at the possibilities of where they can go with this. So then they also end up with a plan and action steps of how they want to get there. I don't just say, okay, here's the information. Now go off and learn it. We make sure that together you have a clear plan when you leave so that you know exactly what you need to start on next. They know how to present themselves professionally and with confidence and sincerity. That's a big key. We want this to be authentic and with integrity in every piece of it. One of the students said, I feel what's happened here is an acceleration of the process, especially when you add in the work we are doing around clarifying our propositions. And that's exactly what it does. It accelerates your future. Now you might be wondering, what if I mess up? Friends, we all mess up. I've messed up so many times. I've lost grants. I've blown it with clients. Failure isn't an obstacle. It's an opportunity. So look at it that way, and what can you learn? Ed Gandia, who hosts the High Income Business Writing podcast, says, right now, you're better than you think you are. In 5 years, you'll look back at your current situation and see how you played small. So why not act like the person you'll be 5 years from now? Make bolder moves and do what you're scared to do now. You'll make your future self very proud. So with that, I want to challenge you with some questions today. Number 1, what do you have that makes you memorable? I told you yesterday about Jackie, who trained as an Olympic athlete for quite some time. That's an incredibly memorable and cool thing about her and her background. You may not have trained as an Olympic athlete. Most of us haven't. But there is something about you, I can guarantee, that makes you memorable to clients. So figure out what that is. Number 2, what do you have to start with? We all have something, no matter where you are in your journey. I've worked with brand new grant writers, experienced grant writers, business owners, retired people, college students, a nurse, a digital marketer, an artist, and so many others. You're not too old and you're not too young. Stop making excuses for yourself and let's explore what's possible. And number 3, what do you need to learn? Do you already know business? Do you know nonprofits? Do you know grant writing pretty well? Figure out what you know, and then where do you need to fill in the gaps to learn more? Emily P. Freeman, in her book A Million Little Ways, says, are you going to do the work of hiding, or are you willing to show up and do the work of art? Hiding is hard work, and doing the work of art is hard. So you choose your hard. Are you going to do the work of hiding, or are you willing to show up and do the work of art? Remember, each day we have one big homework takeaway question. And so for today, I want to go over today's assignment. And this is on the workbook again at teresahuff.com/fastfocus. By now we've moved past the question of, do I have what it takes? And we're asking the better question of what's next. And if you've done the homework from parts 1, 2, and 3, you've uncovered your why. You've taken inventory of yourself, and you've figured out which of the fast areas you need to build your knowledge and confidence. Now I want you to develop a plan for what's next for you. So your homework is, what are your next steps? Take some time to really think these through and brainstorm, and don't limit yourself. Be realistic, but challenge yourself. And let me know how I can support you in this. I'd love to serve you in the Fast Track to Grant Writer if this is the right time and place for you to help you design a path for the career that you love. If you're ready to create a plan for exactly how you can make a difference in the world through nonprofit work, then the Fast Track is for you. Start as you are, right where you are, not as you wish you were. You can join me on the Fast Track at teresahuff.com/VIP or message me on my LinkedIn or my website contact form if you have questions. I want to leave you with this quote from Sir Henry John Newbold. Let us build for the years we shall not see. Friend, if you know someone who could benefit from this series, would you please share it with a friend? Let's spread the word so we can get more people out there helping nonprofits and making a bigger impact. We need you, my friend. How will you go out and change the world today? You've got this.